well, guess what? Pagan conservatives back. In a follow-up video from my last video, a bunch of news had come out yesterday and the day before about questionable voting machines that in Michigan. Now, when the tabulator issues came out, and they had announced that 6,000 votes in a county that were flipped from Biden to Trump, which, to be honest, in a software thing, you ask any programmer, it seems a little suspicious. We understand lost data, dropped tables maybe, but it seemed kind of weird that specifically that exact percentage of votes seems to have, switched from Trump to Biden. To me, that sounds like a push piece of code and a for loop of some sort that says, move X over to Y until you reach this many percent, which is something that can be programmed reasonably easy. So anyway, this is my notebook with my notes from yesterday, just because I was curious, and now a lot more information has come in, which apparently has confirmed a lot of my suspicions. I was digging up old articles. I did pull some videos down. At some point, if you like I said, just Google these are my search results. So in Michigan, just because I was curious, I go, okay, let's say they said there's 47 counties that were using the Dominion voting systems, and they were using the same tabulators. And apparently there was questions that they all had these issues in every single one of these counties. So the first thing I did was I took the 60K votes times 47, and that comes up to 282,000 votes that were flipped, that in theory were flipped from Trump to Biden. At the time, Biden was leading in Michigan with 2,790,648 votes, and Trump was at 2,644,525 votes. Now, if you simply subtracted the votes in the questionable machines and the questionable tabulators from Biden, that dropped him down to 2,508,648 votes, which is obviously less than what Trump had, even just with the votes that he had. If you then took those votes and added it to what Trump actually already had, or did the correction, that would put Trump at a 2,926,525 votes, which ends up being an increase and a differential of Trump having 417,877 votes more than Biden, which puts him in a significant lead. So that is just very, loose math there, theoretical math, and the reason why they were going to have to start doing a manual recount. So, number one, Michigan's supposed to be doing a manual recount. Now, doing a little more Googling and doing a little more digging with the Dominion voting systems to try to figure out, okay, where did they come from? What is this? Well, in 2003, Dominion appeared on the scene. Their suite is called Democracy Suite. They're also subsidiaries are Premier Election Solutions, which was Diebold, because they bought out Diebold. The reason Diebold had to break up originally was because the government said that they were a monopoly, and there was too much power focused on Diebold, so they had to split to other things. Well, it looks like Dominion was buying up a whole bunch of other voting systems the past couple years too. They're also Sequoia Voting Systems as one of their subsidiaries. Now, I haven't looked into it. There's rumors that apparently Pelosi and Clinton are on the boards, or do have an awful lot of pull with Dominion, or have partnerships with them. That is something I have not researched yet, and that is something that I have heard rumored, and is something I will be looking into, but I didn't find anything immediately where I was poking. Mostly what I was poking for last night was how many states could possibly be affected. So I did some searching, and I found out that Dominion voting systems are in 30 states. Some of the states they're in are Georgia, Michigan, Illinois, Florida, Pennsylvania, Texas, New Mexico, New York, California, Indiana, and Nevada. Some of the notes that I had managed because this is just me going through articles, some of the things I thought were interesting that I pulled up were they moved in 2018 to Michigan. My husband, who's also a security researcher, well, he does he does advanced high level security. Actually, it's a government job, but anyway, so his job is to secure and question, and he had mentioned to me that in his research he found out that in 2018 when they moved to Michigan, that was the year that the current governor was elected. Some other things that were interesting that he found was there was also a couple counties that had 0 Republican votes that year. There was some questions about her opponent in one county had, again, like no votes. This year, and this was not my research, so that I'm going by memory, but my understanding was that I believe it was, I want to say Kent County, but I'm not 100% sure. One of the people running only came up with 2 votes. Well, his family confirmed that there were 6 votes for him in his household alone, so that was brought into question, whether or not there was voter fraud or miscounting. In Chicago, Illinois, they're using these tabulator machines. In Florida, they started using these all 2018. And in Florida, they're using the tabulator machines. They're using them specifically in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, Georgia's really interesting. There was a lot of news coming out of Georgia. On 11/4/2020, this week, a glitch in Georgia caused by a last-minute update by the Dominion voting machines caused all the voting machines in Morgan and Spalding counties to not be functional. So they had to call an emergency text to fix it. My understanding in Georgia is this was a statewide push. It was a last-minute, like 8 p.m., like last-minute push. This was reported on 11/4, but it was like a last-minute push the day before the election that they were going to go ahead and push this update, and even Georgia election officials says it's very unusual for them to push updates that close to the election.
After they're certified,
you're not supposed to touch them after they're certified. Indiana, we certify our machines. I think the last time we were certified was 2017. They do the certification between. I'm recording a video. They do a certification between elections in Indiana. So our machines were certified in 2017, checked, verified, and then they leave them alone. And the next time we're scheduled to have our machines checked, I want to say is 2025, I believe.
They certify them before the election.
But they do them, but then they double check them as they come out of the boxes before they set them up. So and I'm not gonna. This is the article I read according to the Secretary of State website in Indiana. The full certification, the absolute maintenance. That's when it was done last. So these machines are all checked and verified and ready to go. Now, we didn't have these issues in Indiana. In Georgia, there was a push up to, like, I want to say 3 weeks ago. It sounds about right. It was October 25th, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't have that in my notes. So, where they wanted to push Georgia to have no paper at all and just go straight digital ballots. Well, the election officials in Georgia said, it's too close to the election. We haven't tested it. We're not going to do that. So we're going to continue with our paper ballots in Georgia for this election. But they did try to push that through earlier, within like a couple weeks before this election. Let's see. I don't know if I wrote it down. And then Georgia. So they had issues in Morgan and Spalding on election day. And then Gwinnett County, when they were trying to do the counting on the tabulators, started to realize that there were similar glitches that they were having in Michigan, where, votes were being flipped or votes weren't being counted correctly. And Gwinnett reported that one like yesterday. And so now we have Georgia and Michigan showing these issues. Can you do me a favor and take stir that and turn off the thingy? Just turn down the heat. It'll be fine. So we've had issues there. Then the other part of so this is just focusing on the Dominion machines, which I find very fishy. So Georgia is currently doing a manual recount. Currently, Georgia's recounting. You can't call yourself as having won an election if you still have multiple states that haven't finished counting and have found out they had to do a recount. Arizona is still finding ballots that have been shoved in corners. Michigan has realized their tabulators weren't working correctly, and the state has called for a manual recount. We have multiple states calling for manual recounts. So Biden can't declare himself the winner of the presidency when we're not even done voting, and there's an awful lot of questions about why votes that were obviously Trump votes, that are on paper Trump votes, are for some reason being counted as Biden votes. Other questions are, if you look at the actual counts that have come back as far as the in-person polling, when not like vote counting polling, but like, personal, like surveying, Trump flipped the minority vote. There's more minorities that voted for Trump. Is the highest. There's a county that flipped completely red in California that's like almost, high, I don't want to say 100%, but very, very, very Hispanic, that in 100 years has never voted Republican. They flipped red. So that's kind of where I'm at. We've seen this over and over and over and over again, that, you know, counties and places and minorities, and I hear the minority vote screaming on TikTok. There you got this is my favorite personal people I have currently met this year, just for fun. Number one, I'm a pagan conservative. I'm not your typical Republican. But then again, I don't think any of us are typical Republicans after, I don't know, I'm going to say about 2008. I think a lot of the libertarians and conservatives kind of decided, well, if we're going to go with a party that we got to work within, we're not your typical Republicans. We're your Zennial Republicans. Your Zennial Republicans are a whole nother breed, because we ask questions about everything. And we don't necessarily like the old school. We like to go ahead and push and go, okay, let's make this better. Let's work in it. I'm willing to work within the system to a degree, but I'm going to call you out on your fucking bullshit. You can't call people out on their bullshit in the Democratic Party or whatever it's become. It's not really the Democratic Party anymore. I don't know what it's become, but it's not. The progressive socialist, whatever the hell this new bullshit is. Because if you try to call someone out on their shit, they will cancel you. You can call someone on the shit in the Republican Party. We can go back and forth and have arguments and whatever, and not want to kill each other at the end of the day, because, you know, we'll go, okay, fine, and we'll agree to disagree. That's why we invite everyone to come join us. Conservatives, Republicans, you know, libertarians, whatever your mindset is, we're fine with. We don't mind disabled. We don't mind blacks. We don't care about, you know, we don't care about the color of your skin. We don't care, you know, what country you're from, as long as you are a citizen here. Well, we don't, as far as voting goes, but you know, it's one of those kind of things. We're not, we don't count people on, you know, their vaginas or lack of or whatever. What we look at people is, are you a good person? Can we have a discussion? Okay, we don't agree on everything. That's fine. Can we agree on the basis? We have the right to liberty, pursuit of happiness, you know, owning property. We have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to, you know, to live. We have the right to have businesses. We have the right to, you know, we just want our basic constitutional, you know, rights. That's what we're looking for. We have the right to worship as we choose or not. You know, and I have not met very many Republicans that would shit on me for being whatever. Most people are like, oh yeah, cool, you know, I'm whatever, you're that, cool. We agree on, you know, this is what we want. That's what's nice about it. That's why I am, you know, that's why I'm registered Republican, because it's been the more open, kind party. They've been nicer to me. They've welcomed me with open arms. I can speak my mind, and, you know, every once in a while you get a few idiots, but they're usually pretty easy to talk to even then, and if they're not, I'm just gonna move on. But for the most part, you know, I don't get the kind of hate that I get if I try to argue with a liberal, or what they call themselves. They're not liberals. I don't know what they're socialists. They're flat out, they're friggin' socialists and communists. It's ridiculous. Totalitarians is what it is. The other side's become totalitarian. If you don't agree with them lockstep about 100 things, they will destroy you. So anyway, I have seen gay Satanists for Trump. I have seen the Amish for Trump. I've seen, obviously, Christians for Trump, Catholics for Trump, atheists for Trump. I've seen other pagans for Trump, heathens for Trump. I've seen transgender for Trump. I've seen gays for Trump. I've seen lesbians. I've seen all the alphabets for Trump. I have seen women for Trump, Black people for Trump, African Americans for Trump. Sometimes there's multiple groups. There's more than one group. There's the Latinos for Trump, Hispanics for Trump, Cubans for Trump, Jews for Trump. I have seen more groups that at this point are like, we're going to come together. And the cool thing about the Republican side is you can identify as whatever you are, and then you get sucked into the fold. Because that's how we do things. It's in our mindset, it's cool. You can identify as you want to identify with, but then we're going to give you a big old hug and welcome to the party anyway. You know, for us, it's just a bunch of high fives going around. Oh yeah, you cool. All right, cool. And there seems to be joy in welcoming more people. There's joy in welcoming diversity in the Republican Party. That's something you all need to remember and think about, because we take joy in being Americans in the Republican Party. They take joy in being Americans. We don't even care if you're Republican or not. We'll welcome Democrats in. We'll welcome whomever in. As long as you want to hear and you want to have a conversation, everyone is welcome. Consider that. So my question is, who actually voted for Biden, because Biden didn't have the support. He just didn't. And he still doesn't. So consider what's going to end up happening with the next move, because you have a lot of very patriotic people who are being very patient.